discovered the incredible moment when a single dad surprised an Arab prince with fluent Arabic. Jack's calloused hands closely inspected the flickering neon job listings at the diner, the glow battling against his worn-out spirit after another long shift. He had poured every ounce of determination into providing for his teenage son, Sam, but tonight the weight of their financial struggles pressed heavily. He wasn't just trying to keep food on the table. He was fighting against the suffocating whisper of doubt that threatened to consume him. Just then, his eyes caught a flyer that felt almost like a beacon. Cultural Ambassador, it read, igniting a spark within him. The chance to earn extra income while supporting Sam's dream of linguistics lured him in like a moth to a flame. Just as quickly, though, fear crept in, whispering about inadequacy and self-doubt. Could he really do this? His life had been built around the relentless grind of menial jobs, the monotonous rhythm hanging over him like a relentless storm. Sam's dreams, the glimmer in his eyes, felt worlds away when Jack studied their reality, a single dad barely making ends meet. Yet could he harness this opportunity? With trepidation flickering in his heart, he resolved to dive into the unknown in secret. During each midnight shift, he would steal moments to absorb Arabic lessons, driven by the hope of impressing the Arab prince attending the event. Long nights were filled with frustration and the slurred sounds of syllables that seemed to slip through his fingers. But with each passing moment, his resolve solidified. This wasn't just about him, it was about Sam. He could inspire his son, show him the importance of chasing dreams, no matter how daunting the path might seem. Yet that fear lingered, question marks swirling in his mind about his own worth. What if this was a fool's errand? Was he simply an imposter in a suit that didn't fit? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the day of the event approached, unease churned in Jack's gut. He donned his best shirt, a relic from brighter days, and faked a facade of confidence. But as he stepped into the venue, a world of polished shoes and tailored suits, the knot in his stomach tightened. Stepping forward to greet the prince, he felt the pull of judgment in the air, eyes assessing, questioning his worth. When he finally uttered words in Arabic, they flowed more gracefully than he expected. The initial shock of clarity washed over him as respect flickered in the prince's eyes. But then a sneer pierced through the moment. His manager's expression turned cold with disdain. "Is this a joke?" the manager barked. And the moment froze, the tension palpable. Jack's heart raced, racing between pride and humiliation, confidence and self-doubt, desperately seeking what others saw, or refused to see, in him. Caught in this storm of emotions, Jack stood at a crossroads. Would he rise against the prejudice surrounding him, affirm his right to belong in this world and inspire Sam? Or would he shrink back into the shadows cast by others, losing not just this battle, but an entire vision for the future? The moment felt electric, alive, yet unbearably heavy, as every eye in the room fixated on him, waiting. It felt as if the entire universe hung in the balance, poised for a decision that would redefine their lives. Time seemed to stretch endlessly as Jack faced the judgmental gaze of the room. The weight of expectation clung to him, a tangible force that felt like it could crush his spirit entirely. Breaths were held, anticipation crackling like static in the charged atmosphere. It was as if reality itself paused, waiting for him to decide whether he would rise or fall. Jack's mind raced through the myriad voices of doubt that had infiltrated his thoughts for years. Each whisper of inadequacy replayed mercilessly. Had he really made any progress? Was he worth something more than the sum of his struggles? Gathering a surge of determination, he reminded himself why he had embarked on this journey. It was Sam. The image of his son's bright smile lingered in Jack's mind, sharp as ever. Impressed by his own fervor, Jack took a deep breath, standing tall against the sea of judgment. His voice emerged stronger than he had anticipated, carrying a depth he hadn't felt before. "No, this isn't a joke. I'm here to represent a bridge between cultures." The uncertainty in his heart began to morph into something else, an ember of defiance stoked by the fire of hope. He could see it in the prince's eyes then, something akin to understanding beginning to dawn. Slowly, the sneer on his manager's face morphed into a mask of confusion. Jack found clarity amidst the chaos. He had succeeded in making a connection. He wasn't merely speaking the words. He was conveying intentions, aspirations, dreams that exceeded his own.
As the crowd began to shift uneasily, Jack sensed defining moments lingering on the horizon. Would he allow the voice of division to silence him, or would he take a step further into the light of acceptance, where doubt dared not tread? A swell of emotions coursed through him, intimate reminders of the sacrifices he had made for Sam, sacrifices too great to be lightly dismissed. He felt a newfound resolve stir within him, a shift that was not just for this moment, but a transformation for a lifetime.
Yet there existed a gnawing realization. This was only the beginning. As questions formed in the back of his mind, Jack's anxiety morphed into curiosity. What would transpire from this encounter? Would his command of Arabic break the boundaries that society had drawn around him? Would the prince see through to his character rather than the clothes he wore or the job he held? With his heart racing, Jack ventured further into the conversation, weaving connections between his own life and the cultural nuances around them. He spoke of the authenticity that could only thrive through understanding. Little by little, the crowd began to relax, caught in the rhythm of his words, words that transcended mere language. But amid the successes and fleeting glimmers of approval, Jack knew the battle was far from over. Back at home, reality awaited him, Sam's expectations mixed with his own aspirations. Uncertainty started clawing back into the depths of his mind. How would his son perceive this newfound courage? Having unexpectedly captured the room's attention, he needed to understand not only himself, but also how to guide Sam through the tumultuous journey ahead. Jack's resolve ignited as he reached for his phone, driven by instinct rather than fear. It's time for a conversation, he thought. As he stood among the shifting tides of opportunity and self-doubt, the open door had finally revealed itself. Where would this lead him next? The possibility loomed like a shadow, a call to greater challenges, to actualize his potential. Little did he know, the response from the prince would unveil a connection that could change everything, for him and for Sam. Would he be ready to navigate the uncharted waters of ambition that lay just ahead? As Jack stepped away from the intensity of the moment, he felt waves of disbelief wash over him. Had he truly spoken as he did? The applause reverberated, breaking through his self-doubt. But it wasn't his newfound confidence that disturbed him most. It was the unpredictability of the future that lay ahead. Each round of applause felt like a countdown, teasing him with whispers of recognition and potential, yet beckoning him closer to an uncertain fate. In the solitude of silence that followed, Jack's thoughts spiraled. He couldn't shake the pressure of expectation. The crowd's initial skepticism had transformed into acceptance, yet lingering in his mind was the question that had gnawed at him for years. Could he sustain this newfound authority he had just unearthed? It was a summit he hadn't anticipated reaching, and standing there felt more like a precipice than a peak. He glanced down at his phone. It was buzzing furiously. Messages from Sam flooded in, his son's eagerness palpable even through the screen. "Dad, what's happening? Did you get the gig?" Each message pulled at Jack in a different direction. This was not just about him anymore. Sam was his touchstone, his anchor in the storm of his ambitions. As he steeled himself for the conversation, an unexpected wave of vulnerability washed over him. Jack was no longer just a father. Tonight, he had to be a role model. How could he convey to Sam that vulnerability didn't negate strength, rather it illuminated it? His hands trembled slightly as he typed a response, wanting to craft words that would inspire rather than instill uncertainty. "Things are changing, buddy. It looks like there's a chance for something great." It was a vague promise, but Jack desperately wanted to encourage Sam, even when he could barely convince himself. His mind wandered to their late-night talks, the way Sam's eyes would light up whenever Jack spoke of his dreams. This was the moment he had dreamed of sharing, yet the weight of reality gripped him once more. What if he failed to deliver? What if Sam was hurt because Jack didn't succeed? With renewed determination, Jack took a step back outside the grand hall, seeking a moment to breathe. The night air was crisp against his skin, providing a welcome distraction from the whirlwind inside. He understood this moment was pivotal, not just for himself, but for Sam and their future together. As he walked, thoughts of navigating through uncharted waters morphed into strategies for success. How could he leverage this fleeting moment into something more permanent? Jack envisioned a future where this encounter with the prince could blossom into opportunities not just for himself, but for Sam as well. He could become the bridge he had always envisioned, one that would lead toward a life filled with hope and success,
regardless of the obstacles that would inevitably surface. Suddenly, he was jarred from his thoughts as he heard a voice behind him. "You were impressive tonight." Turning, Jack was met by the prince, a subtle smile playing on his lips. The approach felt both exhilarating and intimidating, a blend of possibility and challenge swirling in the air between them. "Thank you," Jack replied, fumbling for the words to express his gratitude, while simultaneously wishing to harness this moment into a productive dialogue. The prince's eyes gleamed with curiosity, as if he could sense an underlying strength in Jack, one that had begun to blossom during their exchange. "Your insights were profound. We should discuss how they might resonate within our two cultures." In that moment, Jack realized that he stood not just on the brink of professional development, but within a unique relationship that could potentially shape both their lives. This was the crossroads, where ambition could intertwine with destiny, but it would require more than just eloquence. Would he be able to transform this fortuitous meeting into a gateway for Sam's future? As Jack prepared to engage fully, he felt the pressing weight of ambition merged with the hope for a better life for his son, tugging him forward.
The time had come to face the decisions that would define their path. A journey into uncharted territory awaited, and for Jack, the stakes had never been higher. Jack stood momentarily stunned, weight suspended on the brink of indecision. The prince's presence radiated confidence, and the echo of his invitation loomed large. This was more than a fleeting engagement. It presented a formidable opportunity. Could Jack truly bridge the cultures they represented? The stakes felt impossibly high. "Yes," Jack finally said, his voice stronger than he felt. "Let's explore that." He felt an unexpected tingle of excitement at the prospect of stepping into this new role, despite the unknown that shrouded it. The prince gestured toward a nearby terrace, the soft light casting shadows against the ornate architecture surrounding them. As they walked, Jack's mind raced. Here he was, an ordinary father who had somehow captured the attention of royalty, all while grappling with self-doubt. What tangible opportunities could arise from this moment? Could it lead to a project that might support his and Sam's dreams? As they reached the terrace, Jack glanced at the prince, a keen observer who, it seemed, understood the nuances of human interaction. "Your speech tonight," the prince began, "was not just a presentation, it was an awakening." Jack couldn't help but feel a swell of pride, but he also sensed the lurking fear of expectation. "I just shared what I felt," he replied cautiously. "It's about understanding and connecting." "Exactly," the prince affirmed, leaning slightly forward. "Culture is more than just tradition. It is an evolving dialogue. You seem to grasp that. Perhaps you could help us initiate a program to strengthen ties between our communities." Jack felt a rush of adrenaline. A program? A shared initiative? Yet the foundation of that excitement crumbled as doubt returned. What did he know of such efforts? They were beyond his reach, outside his background and expertise. What if he faltered? "I'd like that, but I'm just a regular guy. I'm not sure how much I could contribute." The prince's expression shifted. He leaned back, assessing Jack with renewed interest. "Sometimes it is the unfiltered perspective of the regular that brings about change. Are you willing to embrace the challenge?" The words hung in the air, presenting an unexpected crossroads. Jack recalled Sam's enthusiasm for his dreams, a reminder of the responsibility he held not only to himself but to his son as well. "I want to," Jack replied, his voice firmer. "But I need support, expertise. It can't just be on me." The prince nodded, his gaze steady. "Then let's collaborate. I'll assemble a team who can guide you, and we will frame it around your vision. This could catalyze a new beginning for us both." Jack struggled to contain a surge of hope. This prospect was beyond his wild dreams, but it almost felt too good to be true. Even if he were to embark on this journey, what if he was not equipped to navigate its complexities? Yet something bubbled within him, a latent determination. "I'm in," he declared, the conviction surprising even himself. It felt like a commitment, a promise to himself and to Sam that he would not shy away from opportunities simply because they seemed daunting. "Wonderful," the prince said with a genuine smile. "And within this journey you will discover not just your place, but realize the depth of your potential." Jack's heart thumped loudly against his chest, teetering between exhilaration and fear. He could feel the weight of the responsibility beginning to settle over him, but it felt different now. This weight was not just one of obligation, but of possibility, a chance to redefine his existence. As they shared ideas and ambitions, the night wore on, leaving Jack with an overwhelming sense of what lay ahead. Yet, amidst that excitement, a knot of anxiety coiled tightly. With each passing moment, the reality of facing his limits, of stepping into the unknown, clashed against the thrill of opportunity. What if he stumbled? What if he was inadequate? Jack's thoughts spiraled as he realized the journey he had just committed to would be fraught with challenges, testing his very core. Before he could grasp this reality fully, the prince clasped him on the shoulder. "Tomorrow we begin. Prepare yourself for a journey of discovery." The firm grip felt electric, a signal that this was not merely a casual conversation, but a nexus that could alter the course of his life. Jack inhaled deeply and stepped back, a new weight on his shoulders as he faced what lay ahead. Deep down, he questioned whether he was truly ready for this. As he glanced toward the horizon, he couldn't shake the sense that the line between success and failure had just come dangerously close. Would he rise to the occasion, or would he falter in this new realm? The moment of truth loomed just out of reach, uncertain yet tantalizing. The next chapter of his life awaited, each heartbeat echoing with potential and fear, teetering in a balance that could redefine everything he knew. Would he embrace the challenge, or would it prove too much for the ordinary man he had always believed himself to be? The morning sun filtered through the ornate curtains of Jack's hotel room, casting striped patterns on the floor. He stirred, the weight of the previous evening settling over him like a velvet shroud. Each moment since his agreement with the prince echoed in his mind, fanning the flames of both excitement and trepidation. The stark contrast between his ordinary life and the extraordinary journey ahead was palpable. How had he found himself here? As he prepared for the day, Jack felt a tightness in his chest. Doubts crept in, whispering reminders of his perceived inadequacies. What if he couldn't deliver on this grandiose promise?
The self-doubt churned like a dark cloud overshadowing him, making it difficult to focus. Yet underneath all that anxiety, a budding enthusiasm began to stir. This was a pivotal moment, an opportunity to embrace growth, to confront his fears, and reshape his narrative. The thought of Sam brought a flicker of clarity. How proud his son would be if he could see his dad striving for something more, challenging his own limitations. Wouldn't that serve as a powerful lesson in perseverance? He inhaled deeply before stepping out into the world that awaited him. The cool morning air hit his face, invigorating him. He arrived at the meeting point with the prince, a sprawling garden adorned with intricate pathways and lush greenery. Jack could see the prince was engaged with a small group, exchanging ideas animatedly. As he approached, he felt each step carry the weight of his decisions. "Jack, welcome." The prince's warm smile seemed to cut through the layers of Jack's uncertainty. "Today we'll meet with our team. They are here to help you shape your vision for our collaboration." The esteemed group gathered, each member possessing credentials that positioned them as experts in diplomacy, cultural studies, and community development. The diverse backgrounds were both intimidating and exhilarating for Jack. He was stepping into a realm where his past experiences felt minor in comparison. But he had to remind himself there was a reason he was here. The prince believed in his capacity to contribute. As introductions flowed, Jack felt his heart race with each discussion. Conversations about bridging cultures ignited something within him. He began to realize that his own experiences, the clumsy negotiations of fatherhood, the nights spent worrying over bills, had equipped him with unorthodox insights. Perhaps his perspective as an ordinary person held intrinsic value. Perhaps it was the very thing that could bring authenticity to this ambitious endeavor. The discussion presented various innovative ideas for community exchanges, yet Jack noticed an undercurrent. Something was missing. As they debated suggestions, Jack found himself hesitating, unsure if he should speak up. But that inner spark began to blaze again. "What about language?" he suggested, voice tinged with newfound resolve. "An initiative that includes language exchange programs could enrich interactions, allowing true understanding between diverse communities." The room fell silent for a moment, eyes turning towards him. Jack felt heat rush into his cheeks, fear gnawing at his confidence. Had he just overstepped? Then the prince nodded thoughtfully. "Interesting. Language is indeed a crucial element in bridging gaps. Jack, tell us more about this idea." Buoyed by the prince's encouragement, Jack delved deeper into his thoughts, sharing his vision with growing clarity. As he spoke, he noticed the attention shifting, heads nodding, expressions lighting up.
This was not just talk. He was actively participating. However, beneath that initial exhilaration, a more profound conflict simmered. Could he truly back this newfound confidence with lasting commitment? The conversations that followed over the next few hours swept him along a current of inspiration. Yet Jack grappled with a deeper understanding. This was just the beginning. The true work lay ahead, and he would have to confront the ghosts of self-doubt continuously. As the meeting concluded and the team dispersed, Jack caught the prince's eye. "Thank you for believing in me," he said, voice steady but laced with vulnerability. The prince's response was firm. "Believe in yourself, Jack. The only limits are those you place upon yourself." Determined to prove himself, Jack walked away from the gathering more sure than ever that this was his moment. But as shadows of uncertainty sneaked back, an unsettling thought flickered through his mind. What if the next challenge was much closer to home? What if he had to face Sam's expectations more boldly than he had anticipated? Would he rise to that occasion, or would old fears resurface to hold him back? With a heavy heart, he wondered if his journey had only just begun. The following days blurred into a whirlwind of meetings and planning sessions. Jack immersed himself in the vibrant discussions, each exchange unveiling a layer of his own potential he never knew existed. Whispers of enthusiasm from the team fueled his commitment, pushing back the shadows of his insecurities. Yet, beneath the surface, the fears he thought he was overcoming still lingered. One afternoon, as the group collaborated on outreach strategies, a thought struck him. This was about more than just a project. This was an opportunity to redefine himself, to shape the kind of father he wanted to be. Suddenly, the thought of Sam felt like a beacon, guiding him forward. He envisioned their conversations, Sam's curiosity about his father's new venture, and how it would inspire him. Could Jack be the kind of dad who didn't just provide, but also taught through action? Sitting at a table surrounded by experts, he felt a charge in the air. Each person brought a wealth of knowledge to the table, yet Jack could sense their readiness for innovative ideas, those that would leap beyond theoretical discussions. He cleared his throat, feeling the weight of anticipation in the room. "Can we explore partnerships with local schools?" he suggested, his voice steadied by a newfound conviction. "Imagine programs that allow students from different cultures to learn from one another through immersive language activities, not just teaching language as a subject, but making it a lived experience." The room erupted in a buzz of acceptance and intrigue. Jack's heart raced. This was the third time he had put forward an idea, evolving from an anxious participant to an engaged contributor. And yet, the self-doubt crept back in. Was he truly of this caliber?
As they refined the concept, a thought slipped into his mind. Would Sam understand his newfound relevance? After all, what Jack experienced felt worlds away from the ordinary life they shared back home. Could he translate this growth into something relatable for his son? On his way back to the hotel that evening, Jack pulled out his phone. He hesitated, thumb hovering over Sam's name in his contacts. What was he afraid of? Sam deserved to know what his father was doing, how he was striving to make a difference, and more importantly, how all of this affected their bond. But instead of sending a text, he put the phone down and stared into the distance. As he walked through the bustling streets, he caught glimpses of families together, children laughing. A pang of longing surged within him. He felt a wave of awareness wash over him. Being a father was about paving the path of growth together. That evening, Jack sat alone in his room, staring at the blank screen of his laptop. The proposal outline lay open, but his thoughts drifted back to the prince's words about believing in oneself. What if he could take that leap? Writing a letter to Sam seemed daunting, yet necessary. With resolve, Jack opened a fresh document, fingers hovering above the keyboard. He wanted this to be honest and heartfelt. As he began typing, he considered sharing not just his ambitions, but also the struggles he faced, hoping to bridge the gap between father and son through vulnerability. But before he could finish, a sudden knock at the door startled him. He paused, heart hammering as he wondered who could be calling on him at this hour. The last thing he expected was to see the prince standing there, a determined look upon his face. "Jack, I need your insight on something crucial," the prince said, stepping into the room with an urgency that sent a jolt through Jack. As the prince laid out the details of a critical initiative, Jack's pulse quickened. This was his chance to further connect, to bring his ideas to life. And yet, that familiar hesitation reared its head again. Was he truly ready for this level of responsibility? In that moment, Jack realized what he was grappling with, a fundamental test of character. Could he step up for the prince, and by extension for Sam? The echoes of self-doubt pulsed through him, but somewhere beneath that, a quiet determination began to form. The night unfolded into action as Jack articulately shared his thoughts, fueled by adrenaline. Yet beneath his confidence, a looming question gnawed at him. Could this growing connection with the prince somehow eclipse the bond he had been trying to strengthen with Sam? The stakes were rising, and he felt the pressure mount. As the conversation progressed, Jack felt himself teetering on a precipice. This was his turning point. Would the choices he made here lead him to greater fulfillment, or further distance him from the life he wanted for Sam?
The room pulsed with possibilities, but Jack knew one thing for certain. The ultimate confrontation lay ahead, one where he would have to face not only the challenges of his role, but also how to redefine the narrative of being a father. And just as that realization settled in,
Another thought hit him like a thunderclap. What if he could teach Sam more than he ever imagined? What lessons of courage, vulnerability, and determination could he share from his own journey? With a deep breath, Jack prepared to engage, but also to discover something he hadn't grasped yet. What lesson awaited him in this uncharted territory? The next morning arrived with an electric current of anticipation coursing through Jack. The previous night's revelations lingered like an exhilarating melody in his mind, urging him to delve deeper into both his professional responsibilities and personal evolution. Just as the sun pierced through his hotel window, illuminating the possibilities ahead, Jack felt the urge to take action. He pushed past the wave of self-doubt and steeled himself for the day. As he thumbed through the proposal he'd worked on, every revised section felt like a testament to his growth. Ideas flowed more freely as he brainstormed, determined to utilize his perspective as a father to shape the project. What could an initiative focused on cultural exchange between students teach Sam about respect, acceptance, and the beauty of diversity? This was more than just a job. It was the kind of legacy he wanted to instill in his son. As he stepped into the bustling conference room, Jack's resolve solidified. The team was already deep into discussions, but a new clarity infused his thoughts. He could not only contribute ideas, but lead conversations. An internal dialogue blossomed. If I open up about my journey, perhaps they too will share, fostering an environment of collective growth. With a moment's hesitation, he raised his hand. Could we pivot our approach? What if we included student ambassadors in our outreach program? Kids who can represent their cultures might just inspire connections among peers that textbooks can't achieve. The response was immediate, a ripple of excitement igniting among the group. They began to expand on his idea, adding layers he hadn't even considered possible. Jack felt the rush of affirmation, growing bolder as the momentum shifted to his side. Each contribution echoed with potential, reflecting the journey he had embarked upon. Images of Sam flickered through his mind as he engaged in brainstorming. He saw his son's bright eyes filled with curiosity, imagining the dialogues they could have about his work when he returned home, and how gratifying it would be to say, "I learned this for you." The afternoon slipped by as they dug into the logistics of the proposal, and Jack's thoughts shifted from just the project to the kind of father he was becoming.
Each decision felt like a stone laid down on the path of exemplifying strength and compassion to Sam. But outside the bubble of inspiration, doubt began to stalk him again. What if I fail? Will I have anything meaningful to bring back home? Jack shook off the paralyzing thought. It was time to confront his fears, not let them dominate. Couldn't he show Sam that success was built on standing up after falling? As the day wound down, the prince approached him, an approving smile on his face. "You demonstrated true leadership today, Jack." The praise unfurled whatever lingering anxiety remained. In that moment, he realized the opportunity to lead didn't just apply to the professional realm. It was about living authentically, embracing vulnerability, and sharing that journey with his son. When they wrapped up, Jack found himself standing outside, the evening air cool against his skin. He pulled out his phone, the weight of his earlier hesitations lifting. Instead of hesitating, he began typing a message to Sam, letting his heart dictate the words. He wanted his son to know every intricate detail of his journey, the missteps along the way, the elaborate steps forward. Just as he was about to hit send, a voice interrupted him. The prince had stepped beside him, casual yet commanding. "Jack, there's something important we need to discuss regarding our initiative. It's about the funding proposals." Jack's heartbeat surged. Here was a true chance to merge his professional and personal growth, a moment that could pivot him into a role he never could have imagined in his wildest dreams. Will he take the leap of faith, armed with the lessons learned, and seize this opportunity to solidify his role as both a leader and a father? The moment stood before him, tantalizing and terrifying. As Jack felt the pull of destiny, he understood. This would lead to a revelation that would redefine everything he had ever known about connection, trust, and what it truly meant to grow. Jack's heart raced as he processed the prince's directive. This wasn't merely a discussion about funding. It was a pivotal moment capable of intertwining his current project with a profound personal revelation. The weight of expectation bore down on him. This was not just an opportunity for professional recognition. It was a test of his ability to merge his identity as a father and a leader. "Absolutely, let's discuss the funding proposals," he responded, forcing the calmness into his tone that belied the internal chaos. They walked side by side, the evening air now filled with a light breeze that felt rejuvenating. The ambiance around him became a vivid backdrop for the transition he could sense approaching in his life. As they settled into the quiet corner of the expansive hotel lounge, Jack felt his faculties sharpen.
The prince began to outline the financial landscape, yet all Jack could think about was how this surfacing opportunity echoed the journey he had embarked upon.
Before the prince finished, Jack interjected, leaning forward with conviction. I believe that integrating student ambassadors will require not only funding, but also empowering the students to take ownership of their stories, which we can utilize to secure more substantial backing. The prince raised an eyebrow, intrigued, which sent a wave of exhilaration through Jack. Here was a chance to blend practicality with passion. Imagine the potential. Kids sharing their experiences. We could showcase these narratives in fundraising campaigns. Connectors no longer bound by geography, but unified by shared humanity. As he spoke, the ideas flowed like a river breaking free of its dam. The seeds of inspiration planted in his earlier discussions now blossomed. The prince's expression shifted, mirroring Jack's enthusiasm, and they engaged in a dynamic exchange, brainstorming innovative strategies and addressing potential hurdles. But beneath Jack's growing confidence, fear lurked. The nagging concern of inadequacy whispered incessantly. What if your personal biases sabotage your professional pursuits? He pictured Sam in his mind, his innocent face showing unwavering trust. This fueled Jack's resolve. If his son valued courage and authenticity, who was he to falter here? It was essential to keep fighting for what was necessary, not only for his career, but for the lessons he would impart to Sam. Jack, the prince's voice drew him back. Your insights are invaluable. But do you speak Arabic? The unexpected question halted Jack, memories flooding in. As a child, his grandmother had spoken the language, her soothing voice enveloping him in warmth. A lesson or two had etched themselves into his mind over the years, although he wasn't fluent. Yet the recollection ignited a spark within him. I know enough to get by, but I can deepen my understanding, he replied, feeling the gears of opportunity shift. Knowledge of the language bridges cultural divides. This could elevate our initiative significantly, the prince contemplated, his tone magnetizing Jack deeper into the endeavor. Suddenly, they were not just discussing logistics, but charting an ambitious new course together. Could this be the moment that returns him to his roots, harmonizing the father he wanted to be with the leader he was becoming? Jack felt exhilaration pulse through him again. This was his chance to embody the very virtues he desired to teach Sam. The dialogue continued, yet a part of Jack whispered that this was only the beginning. Could he truly honor his heritage while defining his path? As they concluded the meeting and stepped back into the dimming light of the evening, anticipation and fear entwined within him. What doors would he open next? As they parted ways, he found himself wrestling with the weight of prior decisions, not just as a leader, but as a father, igniting a resolve within him. The following challenge loomed, getting the courage to reach out for fluent Arabic lessons. Would he embrace this dual growth? But first, he needed to seize this opportunity for personal discovery that could alter his destiny and give Sam the father figure he deserved. As he walked away, another realization loomed. Every choice now hinged on more than just professional success, but the authenticity of his journey. Jack had to grapple with the truth, a revelation about his desire to connect deeply with his past, marry it with his future, and the kind of father he aspired to be. But would he truly step into this uncharted territory? Each risky choice beckoned him closer to the one question he needed to confront. Was he ready to embrace who he could be, breaking free of the shadows of his self-doubt? As Jack navigated the bustling streets on his way home, the weight of the evening's conversation pressed heavily on his chest. The vibrant lights of the city flickered around him, each representing a dream, a wish, or perhaps a moment of clarity he desperately sought. It dawned on him that this was not merely an opportunity for advancement, it was also an awakening, a chance to reaffirm his roots and redefine his legacy. His determination to learn Arabic solidified with each step. He had spent years honing his professional skills, attending workshops, managing large projects, and leading teams. Yet the prospect of studying a language felt like a monumental shift, challenging the status quo of who he believed himself to be. Could he really juggle the demands of work and fatherhood while diving into a new linguistic adventure? Thoughts of Sam drifted back into focus, aligning with his purpose. What kind of role model would he be if he didn't embrace the same challenges he hoped to instill in his son? Sam had always possessed an insatiable curiosity, asking questions and seeking to understand the world around him. Jack had admired that quality, yet he now understood that he needed to mirror it in his own pursuits. Arriving home, he found Sam sprawled on the floor, engrossed in a puzzle. The sight elicited warmth from within, mingled with a twinge of guilt. How often had he buried himself in work at the expense of time with his son? But tonight felt different. Seizing the moment, Jack knelt beside Sam and guided a piece into place. "What do you think about learning something new together?" Sam looked up, eyes sparkling with intrigue. "Like what?" Jack hesitated briefly before responding. "Arabic. What would you think of that?"
"What's Arabic?" Sam asked, his innocent curiosity tugging at Jack's heart. "It's a language, like English, but spoken in a lot of countries. Can you teach me?" Sam's enthusiasm was palpable, a spark igniting Jack's determination. It wasn't just about the professional advancement anymore. It was about building a bridge, a shared experience between father and son. In that moment, the mindset shifted.
Jack was no longer merely seeking to reclaim a part of his identity. He was crafting a new narrative, one that intertwined his professional goals with fatherhood. He felt invigorated, ready to embrace the unfamiliar. With renewed vigor, Jack pulled out his laptop and began researching local language schools and online courses, noting down potential lesson plans and materials he could share with Sam. He envisioned weekend study sessions filled with laughter, learning, and a newfound connection. Yet, with every plan, doubts flickered at the corners of his mind. Would this commitment pull his focus away from work? That thought was quickly quelled by a fleeting vision of the prince's approval, the weight of cultural significance hanging in the air. He had the chance to illustrate both curiosity and dedication, not only to his work, but to Sam, showing him that the pursuit of knowledge was a lifelong journey, not confined to a classroom. As the evening wore on and the fatigue of the day sank in, Jack finally settled into bed. His heart buzzed with possibility, but anxiety shadowed him, a mixture of excitement and fear that he would not measure up. Tomorrow would be different. It would be his first step into the unknown. But how would he wade through the initial lessons? Would he possess the aptitude to grasp the new language as he had once grasped his career? The contours of self-doubt loomed again, whispering insidiously that he might fail. With a deep breath, he pushed it away, reminding himself that growth often came from discomfort. Just as he was drifting into sleep, a new strict urgency settled within him. Could this journey reveal hidden strengths or expose profound weaknesses? What connections would he forge along the way, not just in language, but in the essence of who he was becoming? With these thoughts swirling, determination flared. Jack was ready to confront not just a language, but the very core of his identity. Yet a lingering question haunted him. What repercussions might this journey into the past have on his future aspirations? And could the very act of learning be the catalyst that reshaped everything he thought he knew about himself? The sun rose on a new day, each ray a poignant reminder of the invigorating journey Jack had embarked upon. The weight of expectation had shifted, now balanced with the eager anticipation of learning Arabic alongside Sam. As he shuffled through the routine of the morning, he felt a subtle change within him. The echo of self-doubt slowly dissipated, replaced by an emerging sense of purpose. He had not only committed to becoming a cultural ambassador, but also to being the father Sam deserved, a father who openly pursued growth in all aspects of life. When Sam bounded into the kitchen, his eyes sparkling with curiosity, Jack couldn't help but return the joy. "Ready for our first lesson?" he asked, excitement bubbling through his voice.
Sam nodded vigorously, the weight of the world lifting each time they shared a smile. With a laptop and a notepad as their tools, they dove into the basics of the language together. Jack marveled at Sam's natural enthusiasm. Each new word learned felt like an accomplishment, a brick in the foundation of a bond that was growing stronger through their shared experience. He anticipated this would not just be about language, but about instilling values of perseverance and curiosity in Sam. Yet Jack still clenched the lingering fear of inadequacy. What if he struggled to convey his newfound knowledge? What if he faltered in his teaching? Taking a deep breath, Jack redirected his focus. This was not just about perfection, it was about connection. Weeks passed, and their lessons turned into shared adventures, punctuated by laughter and camaraderie. Jack found himself immersed in Arabic music, movies, and cultural nuances, engaging Sam in ways he never thought possible. They practiced vocabulary in everyday conversations, keeping each other accountable. Slowly, Jack was not just learning a language, he was rediscovering himself, embracing the beauty of his heritage, while forging a new path for his future and Sam's. Amid this revelation, Jack's professional journey blossomed alongside his personal one. Under the prince's guidance, the cultural initiative expanded beyond his imagination. The idea of student ambassadors took off, leading to lively discussions and workshops that inspired youth from all walks of life. Encouraged by the prince, Jack transcended surface-level involvement. He learned how to embrace leadership by empowering others, becoming a figure of support not only in the professional realm, but also in Sam's life. One day, at a follow-up meeting with the prince, Jack brought up the impact of their program. It's about creating a legacy of understanding,
I've learned so much, but it's even more rewarding to see kids blossom in their capacity to relate to one another, he shared, his confidence resonating through the room. The prince's approving nod confirmed Jack's evolution. You're not just part of this initiative, Jack. You're shaping it. Your journey is inspiring others, and that's monumental. The recognition washed over Jack, solidifying his place not only within the initiative, but also within himself. Once cautious and tentative, he now felt like a beacon of possibility, a testament to the power of resilience infused within every challenge he had faced. Returning home that evening, Jack found Sam sitting at the table, studiously attempting to complete a worksheet full of Arabic phrases. "Look, Dad, I'm getting good at this," he exclaimed, radiating pride. Jack's heart swelled, knowing he had laid foundational lessons layered with more significance than just words. "You are, buddy, and I'm so proud of you."
As they shared their triumphs, Jack understood they were both learning from one another, a synthesis of mutual growth interwoven with the fabric of their relationships. In the weeks that followed, Jack's increasing confidence became reflective in professional spheres too. At a key presentation regarding their initiative, he stood before a room filled with stakeholders, articulating his vision with clarity and passion that resonated throughout. The ideas he'd once hesitated to voice now flowed effortlessly, embodying the blend of personal experience and professional insight he had cultivated. The applause that followed felt like a life-altering symphony, acceptance and acknowledgement ringing louder than the doubts that had once bound him. The transition from unease to recognition finally settled within him, and as he returned home that evening, a profound sense of accomplishment enveloped him. He had navigated treacherous waters, confronting challenges and inspiring those around him in the process. Standing in his doorway, as he turned to Sam, who was absorbed in an Arabic book, Jack felt illuminated by purpose, by love, and by the new legacy they both were creating. "You did amazing today, Dad," Sam chimed, his enthusiasm infectious as Jack nodded, realizing that each moment had led them to this extraordinary state of shared growth. Jack smiled knowingly, the once tentative father now transformed, embracing the lessons life had imparted. The journey of discovery would continue, but here and now, Jack could finally articulate the words that encapsulated his growth. This is just the beginning. As they shared a book-filled evening, Jack felt the undeniable reality that he had not only achieved personal growth and professional success, but had also nurtured an invaluable relationship with Sam. He had conquered the respective battles of fatherhood and ambition, standing resolute in the face of life's challenges, proving not just to himself but to Sam that the pursuit of knowledge and the courage to embrace vulnerability were indeed worthy ventures. The horizon was vast, and Jack looked ahead with solid confidence, recognized competence, and an established position, ready to carve out the next chapters of their lives together. Now is the time for you to take action. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately so you don't miss out on the next exclusive emotional stories that will inspire and motivate you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, ensuring more content reaches those who need it. Comment below with your reactions and theories about Jack's transformation and journey. Your thoughts matter. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful conclusion. Help them see the importance of personal growth and overcoming challenges.